Oil and gas offers some of the greatest tax benefits known to the investment world. And so I'm going to go over the basics of oil and gas tax benefits. I'm going to talk about IDCs, intangible drilling costs. I'm also going to talk about a new law due to the COVID-19, the effects of that on the economy. They passed what's called the CARES Act. And in the CARES Act, there's an option to take net operating losses. Okay. And the beauty of oil and gas, see, not every investment offers losses. Okay, you can convert those IDCs to losses and use under the new CARES Act provision, you could take tax benefits all the way back to 2014 and recoup those taxes that you paid from 2014 to 2019. It's a beautiful thing. I'll explain more. But anyways, let's talk about the basics of oil and gas. Okay, so if you in the 2020 federal income tax bracket, if you are married filing jointly, and you make $350,000 a year, let's use that as an example. So if you make $350,000 a year, you are married and filing jointly, you are in the 32% tax bracket. So $350,000 falls in the category in between $326,000 to $414,000. Okay, so if you make $350,000 a year, let's get the calculator up here, and let's shrink this down because we're having a hard time seeing it. Okay, so if we take $350,000 and multiply it times 32%. Okay, so you'd be paying Uncle Sam $112,000 under that scenario. Okay, now let's look at it if you invest in an oil and gas well. Okay, you take what's called IDCs. Okay, IDCs right here on the IRS website. Let's close the calculator. The option granted. Charge IDCs to expense may be exercised by claiming IDC as a deduction on the taxpayer's return for the first taxable year in which the taxpayer pays and incurs such cost. Okay, so if you invest this year in an oil and gas well, come 2021, you're going to have the option. We're going to send you the paperwork to take to your CPA. It's a very straightforward piece of paper. It's an IDC, and you write it off against your earned income. So now you drop from the $350,000 income, and you're able to subtract $100,000. Now your income to the IRS is $250,000. Now that reduces your taxable income, and it drops you down to a lower tax bracket. Now, instead of paying 32% on $350,000, you're paying 24% on $250,000 because $250,000 falls in between $171,000 and $326,000. So let's look at that. $250,000 times, let me make sure, 24%. Okay, so now instead of paying Uncle Sam $112,000, you're paying $60,000. Okay, and so the difference is $112,000 minus $60,000. That's a difference of $52,000. So you're essentially saving $52,000 by making an investment of $100,000 in oil and gas. And the beauty of this thing is that you don't have to take a loss to get those benefits, okay? We could drill the best well in the field and you still get the benefits. Now, there's no guarantees in oil and gas, okay? Just like there's no investment on this planet that is guaranteed, obviously. But the tax benefits are real, okay? Every investor that invests in an oil well, they get what's called IDCs, intangible drilling costs, and you could write that off against your earned income, whether we win or lose, okay? Do you know any other investment you could do that? It's not out there, okay? And so one thing I want to talk about is the new law in place, okay? Special tax break, oil and gas, part of a COVID-19 stimulus program, all right? As part of a nationwide economic stimulus program, depending on your tax bracket, Uncle Sam could fund up to 30% of your next oil and gas project. Now, I'll explain more. In response to the unprecedented economic fallout, the COVID-19 pandemic, Congress recently passed the CARES Act legislation. The act helps, okay, so the key provision, this is on my website, by the way, the key provision of interest deals with net operating loss, okay? So now you have what's called NOLs, okay? Before we didn't have this up until this new CARES Act was passed. Now, what is a net operating loss? Net operating loss for income tax purposes, a net operating loss is a result when a company's allowable deductions exceed its taxable income within a tax period. The NOL can generally be used to offset the company's tax payments and other tax periods through the IRS. Okay, so now you can, if you invest, if you have too many write-offs for this year, you can carry back those write-offs for the previous years all the way to 2014. Now, this is the beauty of this thing. This is the beauty of oil and gas. Unlike most businesses that capitalize their expenses, direct oil and gas investors can treat 100% of the intangible drilling costs, IDCs, as losses in the current tax year. So here's what's beautiful about it. You could take an oil and gas well and write it off as a loss. Every penny invested, even if we have a gush, or even if that oil is flowing for the next 50 years, you could take it as a loss. Going all the way back to 2014, that is so big for so many people, okay? I know for a fact there are so many people out there that have too much of a write-off right now, or you just want to take advantage of the benefits for this year. That's fine too. So if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. I'd love to chat with you. If you look in the description, you can find my information. Like I said, I'm not a CPA. Talk to your CPA. I called a CPA yesterday. He's got 42 years of experience in the oil and gas industry. And he said, hey, yeah, these tax benefits are real. But you got to talk to an experienced tax attorney. You got to talk to an oil and gas tax guy that knows what they're talking about. A CPA that's never handled oil and gas matters might be scratching their head and say, oh, I don't know. Well, that doesn't mean it's true. I mean, the tax law is a massive amount of information, and there's not one CPA that has it all, okay? They got a team, and each team member handles different tax law, different tax code, but most of the investors I talk to, their CPAs don't understand the basics of oil and gas, and especially this new tax law, and so they're real. They are so real, and it's a beautiful thing. So, all right, guys, I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. If you like my videos, please subscribe, and we will talk soon. Thanks.